There are moments when you look normal on the outside, but inside, everything feels tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep can fix, but the kind that comes from carrying too much for too long. You wake up, go through the day, talk to people, smile when needed, and still feel empty when the day ends. You're not falling apart loudly. You're quietly holding yourself together. Maybe you don't even know what hurts anymore. You just know something feels heavy, like you're moving but not really going anywhere, like you're trying, but nothing inside feels settled. If that sounds familiar, pause for a moment. You're not weak, you're not lost, and you're not broken beyond repair. You're in the space between who you were and who you're becoming. This message is for that space, for the part of you that's still standing, even when it doesn't feel strong anymore. There is a quiet pain that follows you when the world becomes silent. It appears when you are alone in your room, when the noise fades, when your phone stops vibrating, and suddenly your mind goes back to that moment, that sentence, that mistake, that goodbye you never prepared for. You replay it again and again, not because you want to suffer, but because part of you still believes that if you understand it better, the pain will finally stop. But it doesn't. It only gets heavier. Letting go is the hardest lesson because it feels like betrayal. You think, if I let go, I'm saying it didn't matter. If I let go, they win. If I let go, I lose a part of myself. But letting go is not forgetting. It is not approving what happened. It is not pretending you were never hurt. Letting go is choosing peace over pain, growth over guilt, and life over endless mental loops. As long as you keep holding what broke you, your hands are not free to build what can heal you. Your mind becomes a time machine, dragging you back to yesterday, again and again, even when your life is happening here, now. The past already hurt you once. Every replay hurts you again. Letting go means you stop bleeding from a wound that no longer needs your attention. You stop scratching the scar. You protect it. You allow it to heal. We hold on to the past because it once gave us comfort, even if it ended in pain. It gave us identity. I'm the one who was betrayed. I'm the one who failed. I'm the one who lost everything. And without that story, you're afraid you might be nothing. But listen carefully. You are not the pain. You are the person who survived it. Pain is something that happened to you, not something you are. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with old letters, broken promises, regrets, and what-ifs. You don't notice the weight at first, but as you walk forward, it slows you down. You get tired. You lose your breath. You wonder why life feels so hard. It's not the road, it's what you're carrying. Letting go is not dropping everything at once. It's removing one weight at a time. Say this to yourself. I am not what happened to me. I am not my mistake. I am not my heartbreak. I am still here, and I choose peace now. Letting go is a daily decision. Some days you'll succeed. Some days you'll struggle. Both are part of healing. Don't cry for yesterday. Thank it for what it taught you, then release it. Your future is still waiting for you, but it cannot enter your life if your arms are still full of yesterday. Let it go. Once you begin to loosen your grip on yesterday, something unexpected often appears. It is not immediate relief. It is a quiet, uncomfortable emptiness. The pain is no longer screaming, but the confidence that once lived inside you feels gone. You look at yourself and wonder, who am I now? Without the past, without the struggle, without the person I used to be. This moment confuses many people, and it is where healing either deepens or stops, because letting go removes the weight, but rebuilding gives you direction. Pain does more than hurt. It slowly teaches you to doubt yourself. After failure, heartbreak, rejection, or betrayal, confidence doesn't collapse loudly. It breaks in whispers. Maybe I'm not good enough anymore. Maybe I can't trust myself. What if I try again and fail again? These thoughts don't sound dangerous, but they quietly shrink your world. You stop speaking. You stop trying. You start hiding parts of yourself to avoid being hurt again. But here is the truth most people never tell you. Confidence is not something you are born with, and it is not something you lose forever. Real confidence is not loud, perfect, or fearless. It is quiet self-respect. It is trusting that even if things go wrong, you can handle them. It is saying, I am scared, but I will still show up. Rebuilding confidence does not start with big goals or dramatic changes. It starts with keeping small promises to yourself. One small action, one sentence spoken out loud, one task finished even when you feel tired. Each time you do what you said you would do, your mind learns something important. Maybe I can trust myself again. Confidence grows from trust, and trust is built through consistency, not perfection. You must also stop using comparison as a mirror. When you compare your healing to someone else's success, you are measuring your wounds against their highlights. That is not motivation. That is self-destruction. The only fair comparison is between who you are today and who you were yesterday. Speak to yourself with respect. Your inner voice becomes the foundation of your confidence. Replace I'm broken with I'm rebuilding. Replace I failed with I'm learning. Celebrate small wins, because growth happens quietly before it becomes visible. Pain did not remove your confidence. It reshaped it. The confidence you build now will be stronger, wiser, and harder to break. You are not trying to return to who you were. You are becoming someone new, someone who knows their worth even after being tested. As your confidence slowly begins to rebuild, you may notice something important. You are trying again. You are showing up. You are becoming more aware. But you still feel exhausted. Not because you are weak, and not because healing is failing, but because you are trying to grow while standing in places that keep draining you. Letting go of the past frees your hands. Rebuilding confidence helps you stand again. But protecting your energy is what keeps you standing. Here is a truth many people learn too late. You cannot heal in an environment that keeps reopening your wounds. You cannot rebuild yourself while constantly surrounded by negativity, drama, judgment, and emotional noise. Energy is not motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Energy is deeper. It is your mental clarity, emotional stability, focus, and sense of inner safety. When energy is drained, even strong people fall apart. Most of what drains you does not arrive as a disaster. It arrives quietly. Overthinking the past late at night, replaying conversations you cannot change, trying to please everyone so no one leaves, saying yes when your body is screaming no, scrolling endlessly and comparing your healing to someone else's perfect image, carrying other people's problems until your own heart feels heavy and unseen. These are emotional thieves. They do not attack loudly. They exhaust you slowly. Protecting your energy does not mean becoming cold or heartless. It means becoming conscious. It means understanding that not everyone deserves access to your thoughts, your time, or your emotions. You are allowed to step back. You are allowed to respond less. You are allowed to stay silent during chaos. You are allowed to outgrow conversations that no longer nourish you. This is not selfishness. This is self-respect. As you heal, some people will say you have changed. They may call you distant. They may not understand your boundaries. Let them. The version of you that gave everything away is no longer responsible for everyone's comfort. The new version of you is learning how to survive without losing themselves. Create a safe space in your day, a small ritual where your energy can recover. Silence, a walk, music, writing, Breathing. A moment where you remind yourself, I am not in danger. I am healing. You do not need to fight every battle or explain every choice. Sometimes strength is choosing peace and walking away. You are not tired because you are broken. You are tired because you have been giving your energy to places that cannot give it back. From now on, protect it carefully. Your healing depends on it. When you start protecting your energy, you may notice something surprising. The outside noise becomes quieter. The toxic voices fade. The constant demands slow down. But inside, the past still finds ways to return. You can be doing everything right, and suddenly a memory appears. A song, a smell, a sentence, and your chest tightens again. This is the moment many people misunderstand. They think healing has failed. It hasn't. This is simply where the real work begins. Your brain is not your enemy. It is trying to protect you. It replays the past because it wants answers, lessons, or control. It believes that if it keeps reviewing what hurt you, it can prevent the same pain from happening again. But the brain does not know the difference between memory and reality. When it replays the past, your body reacts as if the pain is happening now. That is why your heart races, your stomach tightens, and your peace disappears in seconds. Healing does not begin by fighting your thoughts. It begins by training them. The first step is awareness. When a painful memory appears, pause and say, "This is a thought. This already happened. It is not happening now." Naming the loop breaks its power. You are no longer drowning in the memory. You are observing it. Bring your brain back into the present. Look around and anchor yourself in what is real. Notice what you can see, touch, and hear. The present moment is where your safety lives. Pain exists in memory. Peace exists in now. Your brain cannot focus fully on both at the same time. Language matters more than you realize. The way you speak about the past trains your brain to either release it or repeat it. Stop saying, "I ruined everything." Say, "I did the best I could with what I knew then." Stop saying, "They destroyed me." Say, "I survived and learned." Words become beliefs, and beliefs shape your emotional reality. Also, be honest about your triggers. Sometimes healing is delayed because you keep reopening wounds that were trying to close. Old messages, photos, songs, or places may feel familiar, but familiarity is not the same as safety. Giving yourself distance is not weakness. It is recovery. Finally, give your brain something new to build. New routines create new mental pathways. Small habits, repeated daily, gently pull your focus forward. You are not erasing the past. You are teaching your mind where your life is happening now. You are not your thoughts. You are the one guiding them. Train your brain with patience and compassion. It carried you through pain. Now it is learning how to carry you toward peace. As your mind slowly learns to return to the present, a deeper realization begins to surface. The memories lose some of their power, the emotional storms pass faster, and you start to see something clearly for the first time. The past is no longer happening, but the story you tell yourself about it still is. And that story, more than the pain itself, decides how far you will go. When something painful happens, the brain doesn't stop at the event. It turns the experience into an identity. You stop saying, "This happened to me," and you start saying, "This is who I am now." A failure becomes, "I am a failure." A rejection becomes, "I am unlovable." A mistake becomes, "I always ruin things." These are not truths. They are conclusions made in moments of pain. And when you live inside those conclusions, your future quietly shrinks. But your life is not a frozen moment. It is a series of choices. One event cannot define a lifetime unless you let it. The past is a chapter, not the book. It explains where you have been, not where you are allowed to go. What truly defines you is not what broke you, but what you choose to do after it. Every time you try again, even with fear in your chest, you rewrite your identity. Every time you speak up when you once stayed silent, you change the story. Every time you choose growth over self-blame, you step out of the shadow of who you were. Your next move matters more than your last mistake. Stop repeating the language of the old story. Replace "I failed" with "I learned." Replace "I'm not enough" with "I'm becoming stronger." These are not lies you tell yourself. They are directions you give your life. The brain follows what you repeat. You are not trying to return to your old self. That version lived before the lesson. You are becoming someone new, someone shaped by experience, strengthened by awareness, and guided by intention. The past tested you. The present is training you. The future will reflect the choices you make now. You are not defined by where you fell. You are defined by the courage of your next step. When you finally stop letting the past define you, another difficult truth comes into focus. The pain you went through was not random, and it was not meaningless. It did not happen because you were weak or unlucky. Sometimes things break because they were never meant to stay the way they were, and sometimes you had to break so something stronger could begin. We often see breaking as failure, as proof that we were not enough. But look closely at life itself. A seed must crack open before it grows. A muscle must tear before it becomes stronger. A weak structure must collapse before it can be rebuilt with a solid foundation. Breaking is not the end of the process. It is the beginning of transformation. If nothing had ever shaken you, you might have stayed in places that slowly drained you. You might have kept people who did not respect you. You might have accepted less than you deserved simply because it felt familiar. Pain interrupts comfort. It forces awareness. It removes illusions. And once those illusions fall, you can no longer live the same way again. Your breaking revealed truths you could not see before. It showed you who was real and who was not. It taught you boundaries where you once had none. It showed you your strength in moments you thought you would not survive. The old version of you built with hope, but without clarity. The new version builds with truth. This does not mean you should be grateful for the pain itself. Pain hurts. Loss hurts. Betrayal hurts. But you can respect what the pain produced. Growth, wisdom, depth, discernment, a clearer sense of self. You are not rebuilding from nothing. You are rebuilding with knowledge. Accept that you were broken. Forgive yourself for what you did not know back then. Stop wishing you had been stronger at a time when you were simply human. You survived with the tools you had. Now you have better ones. From this place forward, you are no longer building with fragile expectations or borrowed identities. You are building with self-respect, awareness, and intention. The structure you create now will not collapse at the first storm. You did not break because you were weak. You broke because it was time to become stronger. After you understand that your breaking was part of your growth, there is still one habit that can quietly pull you back into pain if you are not careful. It is the habit of asking the wrong question. When life hurts, the mind naturally asks, "Why me? Why did this happen to me? Why was I treated this way? Why do others move forward while I stay behind?" These questions sound reasonable, but they slowly trap you in the moment that already passed. "Why me?" keeps your eyes turned backward. It searches for fairness in a place where fairness no longer matters. It invites blame, comparison, and self-pity. And the longer you stay there, the smaller your world becomes. You feel powerless. You wait for life to explain itself. But life rarely does. There is a different question, one that shifts everything. What now? This question does not deny the pain. It accepts it and then moves forward. What now? Turns suffering into responsibility, not punishment. It tells your mind, "We are not staying here. We are building from this point. Imagine a bridge that collapses during a storm. Standing at the broken edge, people can spend years arguing about why it fell, whose fault it was, and how unfair the timing was. But the bridge will not rebuild itself through questions. It rebuilds when someone asks, "What now?" and starts gathering materials. Your life works the same way. When you ask, "What now?" After heartbreak, you begin learning what you need and what you will no longer accept. When you ask it after failure, you start adjusting instead of quitting. When you ask it after loss, you begin creating meaning instead of waiting for answers that may never come. This question returns your power. It moves you from victim to participant. You stop waiting for permission to heal. You stop needing the past to make sense. You focus on the next step, not the perfect explanation. Say this to yourself: I do not need to understand everything that happened. I only need to decide what I will do next. One small decision, made with intention, is stronger than 1,000 unanswered questions. The moment you stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What now?" is the moment your life begins moving again. Once you stop asking why and begin choosing what now, something important happens. The pain no longer controls every thought, and the past no longer feels like a cage. There is space, and in that space, a new question quietly appears. If I am no longer living for yesterday, what am I living for now? This is where healing turns into creation. Many people stop at recovery. They feel calmer, less broken, less overwhelmed, but they don't move forward. They stop hurting, but they don't start building. And without a vision, life becomes quiet but empty, peaceful but directionless. Healing was never meant to be the final destination. It was meant to clear the ground so you could create something better. A vision is not just a dream or a goal. It is a clear picture of the life you are choosing to grow into. It includes the kind of person you want to become, the energy you want to carry, the relationships you want to allow, and the peace you want to protect. A strong vision pulls you forward so powerfully that the past slowly loses its grip. Imagine a field that was once destroyed by fire, ashes everywhere, broken glass, burned soil. Some people sit there, staring at the damage, reminding themselves of what was lost. But someone else picks up a shovel. They clear the ground. They bring new soil. They plant seeds. They water them daily, even when nothing is visible yet. Months later, the field becomes a new garden, stronger, more alive, more intentional than before. No one would guess what once stood there. That field is your life. Your pain was the fire. Your healing cleared the ashes. Now it is time to plant. Ask yourself gently, who do I want to become from this point forward? Calm, confident, emotionally strong, fluent in expressing myself, at peace with who I am. Ask, what kind of life feels safe and honest to me now? Less chaos, clear boundaries, meaningful routines. Ask, what is one small thing I can build next? A habit, a skill, a daily practice. Write it down. Look at it often. Take one step toward it each day. You do not need a perfect plan. You need direction. You cannot create a new future while holding on to the blueprint of a broken past. Tear up the old map. Design a new one. Your life is no longer about surviving what hurt you. It is about building what will finally feel like home. As your vision for a new life becomes clearer, one final attachment often tries to pull you back. It is the hope for closure. The belief that if you just receive one last explanation, one apology, one honest answer, everything will finally make sense and the pain will disappear. So you wait. You replay conversations in your head. You imagine what you would say if they came back, And without realizing it, you pause your future while waiting for someone else to finish a story they already walked away from. Closure feels like a requirement, but it is not. It is a promise we make to ourselves that peace must come from another person. And that promise quietly gives away our power. Because sometimes the apology never comes. The explanation is confusing. The truth hurts more than the silence. And if your healing depends on someone else's words, you remain tied to a door that is already closed. Real closure is not something you receive. It is something you decide. It is the moment you say, I am no longer waiting to understand in order to move forward. Courage is choosing peace without answers. It is walking away even when your heart still cares. It is allowing the story to end without a perfect conclusion. Courage does not always look strong. Sometimes it looks like getting out of bed when your chest feels heavy. Sometimes it looks like smiling at your reflection when tears are close. Sometimes it looks like choosing silence instead of reopening an old wound. These are not small acts. They are quiet forms of strength. If they never explained, let that be the explanation. If they never chose you, let that teach you how to choose yourself. You do not need their validation to confirm your worth. You do not need their words to give you permission to heal. Say this to yourself. I do not need closure to grow. I need courage to walk forward, even if the past stays unfinished. Peace is not given by others. Peace is claimed by those brave enough to move on without certainty. And one day, you will realize something powerful. You did not just survive the pain, you outgrew it. You built a life so full, so intentional, so grounded, that the unanswered questions no longer matter. The past will remain where it belongs, behind you, while you continue walking forward, free, aware, and whole.